Good evening, everybody. My name is Rich Wistocki, and I've been living in Lockport for 20 years, and before that was in Homer. Both my kids, this is Dominic. He just graduated college, and he's on the police circuit, taking tests all over the place. So my older son is a firefighter, paramedic, so I have a house of first responders. And my career, I started out with the Village of Summit Police Department. I was there for 2.5 years. And that's where I grew up, and I just got tired of arresting all my friends I grew up with, plain and simple. And so I decided to go to the land of milk and honey, and I went to Naperville PD in 1990. I spent 4.5 years in patrol, and then in 1995 I went into juvenile investigations. When I went to juvenile investigations in 95, I also became a SWAT operator. 2 years after that, I became a SWAT sniper, and I did that for 22 years of my career. 1998, we had a guy come in from Brentwood, Tennessee, drive all the way up to Naperville, pick a 13-year-old up at the corner of her house, took her to a hotel, raped her, thank God he didn't kill her, and let her go back home. So she told her parents what had happened. They came to the police department, and he met her on this thing. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of America Online. You know, I teach about 4,000 police officers across the country a year. And when I talk to these younger police officers, I said, yeah, have you ever heard of AOL? And they're like, nope. So that's where it started. And we didn't know what AOL had. We didn't know what geolocation was. We didn't know what an IP was. We didn't know how computer systems worked. This was 1998, right? And so the idea that I had is, you know what? Why don't we just take over her account, become her, and see what happens? Sure enough, 6 months later, he came up and tried to do it again. This was the birth of our Internet Crimes Unit, okay? So in 2000, the Department of Justice created a task force called the ICAC. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. Currently today, there are 61 ICACs throughout the United States. Illinois has 2. One for Cook County and one with the Attorney General's office. Because I wasn't in Cook County, I was in DuPage and Will, we were part of the Attorney General's ICAC. So now my role has changed since I retired. I now recruit for the ICAC. So through my career, I've arrested over 300 internet predators in my career. From 2012 to 2016, Jim Glasgow wanted me to create a high technology crimes unit just for Will County. So from 8 in the morning to 12 at noon, 3 days a week, I worked at the Will County State Attorney's office. I put a team together. I stole someone from the AG, Megan, and then I had 2 computer forensic examiners from Will County. So over 4 years, we arrested 100 predators just in Will County, just here. And you have to understand, what I'm about to show you and tell you doesn't happen somewhere else. It doesn't. But you are really blessed in this community because the mayor had allowed me to train, and the chief had allowed me to train every Lockport police officer. And I'm going to show you some horrific things that police do. And you know you should be very comfortable that these things that cause kids to be victimized, your police department is trained up, and they know exactly what to do, okay? Your investigative unit for the Lockport Police Department, I've trained them myself. Your SROs in the schools know exactly what to do. So there's no fret, especially what I'm about to show you. So as we get along, as I went through my career, again, my job was to arrest predators. So I wanted to do 30 years in Naperville, but I didn't make it. I only made it to 28 because something happened to me. I did this thing called the TED Talk, TEDx. So I did a TEDx, and it changed my life forever. I was never at work anymore. I got called from schools all over the country to go teach in their schools. So you should also be happy to know that Lockport High School, every freshman class, I train. Oak Prairie, I train their parents and their kids. When there's a situation that happens in any District 92, They call me and my team, and we handle it immediately. So that's the relationship that we have with the Lockport schools, okay? We teach in every school in Lockport. So you should know that these kids are trained, and these teachers are trained, okay? And so when I did the TED Talk, it went viral, and I wasn't at work anymore, so my boss was like, look, you either got to do our thing, or you're going to go do your thing. I said, I think I'm going to go do my thing. So I teach about 300,000 students and parents a year. And I train about 4,000. There's this thing called NASRO, the National Association of School Resource Officers. I train about 4,000 of them. I'm in like 10 different states over the summer, going from state to state to state to state to train school resource officers. So as we start, for the people here and the people at home, okay, I'm going to start off with something that you may not like to hear, okay? It may even offend you, and I'm not sorry if I offend you. I don't have a boss anymore, so here we go. All of you parents here tonight, and all of the people at home, you are responsible for your children. I'm sorry I gave you that cold, hard fact, but it's true. You're not only responsible for their food, their clothing, their shelter, and their education, you are responsible for their technology. I don't care if Nana, Nonu, Tia, Tiu, Jaju, Babsha bought them that new iPhone 15 for Christmas. They don't own it. You, as parents, allow them to have it or not. According to our laws in the state of Illinois, you are responsible for your child, and they own nothing until they're 18. Nothing. You are responsible for everything that they do, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. The second thing you have to understand, it's a proven medical fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the frontal cortex of our children's decision-making brain can't handle what goes on social networks. If you saw the hearings today in Congress, you would see that. They can't handle it. For that reason, who's responsible? You are. When you let them have social media, you are opening the gates. I'm going to show you how predators get to your kids. But here's the number two thing you have to worry about. There is no such thing as privacy for children. Can I get an amen? Yes. You are responsible for everything they do. They own nothing. Whether it's good or bad or indifferent, you are responsible for what they do. There is no such thing as privacy for children away from their parents or their guardians. And the reason why is because the things that they will see and experience on their gaming platforms and social media, I'm going to show you how they become victimized. There isn't a week that goes by that I don't get at least 2 calls from a parent, my kid did this, my kid did that. So I have a question for you. How many students do you think we have in Lockport? Like maybe 6,000? 7,000? Why are there not 100 parents here? Right? I mean, they may be at home, right? They may be at home. Why? Because parents suffer from a deadly disease that set their children up for failure. It's called the NMK syndrome. The NMK syndrome sets your child up for failure. You know what it means? Not my kid. I don't need to go to that presentation because my kid would never take nudes of themselves. I taught them better. I don't need to go to that presentation because I look in their phone once a week. Well, you know what? That's not good enough. But yet, when I'm done with the presentation, 2 weeks later, their kid gets victimized, and the first thing the principal asks them, say, well, did you come to the presentation? You would have known. No, I didn't think I needed to go. There you go. So again, The NMK syndrome will set parents and kids up for failure. So I'm going to show you what your kids are doing so they become victimized. I'm going to show you what you may or may not be doing that sets your kids up for failure to be victimized. Okay? The third thing you have to understand, if your child ever changes the code on their device to lock you out, that is a consequence. Because they're hiding something from you. Let me tell you why I am such a strong supporter. If your kid changes the code on their device and locks you out, here's why. A couple years ago, I was teaching down in Clinton, Illinois. And the chief and the sheriff took me out to dinner. This was a Thursday night. Took me out to dinner before the presentation. And I leaned over to them and I said, hey, chief, who does your cybercrime investigation? He goes, I only have 1.5 detectives. He goes, I don't have the money to send them in training. And so if a parent comes in with their kid, I just send them to the state police or the FBI. I was like, well, that's unfortunate. I said, here's my card. If you ever need anything, by all means, call me. I will be glad to help your guys. Well, thank you. Monday morning, 6:30 in the morning, I'm heading out to go teach at the academy. And it's a detective from Clinton. He goes, are you Detective Wistacki? I said, yeah, how can I help you? And he says, well, my chief told me to give you a call. I said, sure, what's going on? He goes, well, I got this case on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I'm over my skis. I don't know what I'm doing. I said, all right, what happened? He said, well, I had two 12-year-olds on Snapchat. One thought it would be a funny idea to talk the other one into committing suicide. And she did it. She's dead. I said, oh, my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. I said, okay, well, did you see the messages? He goes, nope. I said, what do you mean you see the messages? I said, you got the devices, right? He goes, yeah, I got the devices. So why can't you see the messages? Because the kids changed the code so the parents couldn't get in. Can you imagine? You lose your child, and you don't never know what happened because you can't get in the messages because they changed the code. So I called my forensic team at Naperville PD, and they said, only in death or a kidnapping will we do it for another department. So they're able to pop it, and you need to know that the new cyberbullying today, ladies and gentlemen, is kids telling other kids, why don't you just go effing kill yourself? That is the new cyberbullying statement of this year. I can't tell you how many times I went to Oak Prairie to address this very issue. Our kids are doing it to each other. But yet, in the state of Illinois, what the harassment through electronic communication says, when you make any comment, request, suggestion, or proposal that is obscene with the intent to offend, that's a crime. But if there's no sexual connotation like being obscene, when another kid tells another kid numerous times, just go frickin' kill yourself, it's not a crime in Illinois. Shouldn't it be? It should be, right? So myself and State's Attorney Jamie Mosser from Kane County wrote the new cyberbullying statute. The ACLU, you know what the ACLU told us? We don't want to criminalize freedom of speech of children. They're more worried about the suspects doing it instead of giving them an education, what we call a station adjustment or a diversion. They don't want to hear it. So now I have to reframe it and go to another senator because the ACLU is just allowing our kids to be victimized. And we can't have that. We have to be on the same team, right, to protect our children. You saw what happened in Washington today. Our main focus is to protect children, not someone's privacy. So no further on this, but I just want to let you know that these are the things that we need to be aware of in order to protect our children. So what I'd like to do is I want to be your resource officer, even at home. So if you can put that up on the screen on the YouTube or YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and pull your cameras out, just like during COVID when we couldn't see a menu, right? So open your camera, just shine it on the code, and if you have an iPhone, click on the yellow button. If you have an Android, click the bar, and this will add me to your contacts. I want every one of you to know. And if any of you are having a problem with that, just raise your hand and we'll take care of it. Anybody's technology challenged, Dominic is going to help you. So I want you to know you can call me anytime, okay? Because I'm a resident of Lockport, because the mayor has asked me, the deputy chief, or the chief, Rich Harang, I am at their beck and call. I just want you all to know that. That they can call me at 2 in the morning, and I will be there for them, for their officers, anything that they need. Okay? Everybody get that? Okay. So some of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about predators on social networks. We're going to talk about apps on their kids' cell phones. We're going to talk about some of the laws in the state of Illinois. We're going to talk about strategies on how to protect yourselves and your kids. And then I'm going to give you what are the 5 things you need. If God forbid anything happens and you need to report it, I'm going to show you what the police department needs to do an investigation. Okay? So I have a stat for you. One internet predator, one, can have 250 victims in their lifetime. 250. So odds are if something has happened to your son or daughter, it's happening to 20, 30 other kids all at the same time. Okay? That's what I teach my officers. It's not just this one. And there are 2 reasons why predators are so successful. The first one is the NMK syndrome, because parents are not paying attention. All right? The second reason is that you have police officers throughout the country who work really, really, really hard at not taking a report. And the reason why they don't take cybercrime reports is because they were never trained on how to take it. They don't teach it in the academy. And they will say stuff like, when you bring your son or daughter, not this police department, because let me tell you, I have trained every Lockport police officer on how to do this, so you will not get this, okay? But 70% of the time, you're going to get this. And they say things like, because they've never been trained on child exploitation online, they'll say things like, well, the guy that handles that works tomorrow when I'm not here. Or just report it to the social network. They'll take care of everything for you. That's wrong. But the worst thing they do, lady, if you want me to take the sextortion report, I'm going to arrest your kid for taking the pictures. You still want the report? And then the predator gets away. Police officers are victimizing the victim twice. And you'll hear police officers say, oh, it's a civil matter, get your house under control. What do you want us to do? The social network ain't going to tell us anything. That's false. That's just a lie. I show all my police officers, we have to go into a special portal that I can talk to Snapchat, I can talk to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I can get information within an hour from them through this secure portal. Okay? You have to have a law enforcement email and credentials in order to get in there. Okay? And I show my police officers how to do this. But if they don't know, if they're not trained, this is what happens. Columbus, Ohio. This dad has an 11-year-old daughter. She's being sextorted, blackmailed by an adult male. He calls the police department at 6 p.m. They don't arrive until midnight. Here's what happens.
Is there a better coffee than soda? Yeah. No.
Nice crispy Sprite.
You know what? I just want Sprite. I haven't had Sprite since I was like a kid. Pretty cinnamon.
Sprite's good. That's a tall Sprite.
Oh, you know, I lied to you. Did you ever see that Sprite challenge? Like they're called Sprite Transfer. Hi.
Is she in bed now? It's she like asleep.
Well, it's so happy.
Yeah. So the whole point last time we got to move talk to her. And that's when her realized what this was. I mean, the reality is not much she's got right food about it.
I mean, she could buy a chart to go to the child porn.
Who she can? She's 11 years old.
She's creating it, right?
She's 11 11 years old.
Does not, he's still being informed.
No, she's not. She's being manipulated by grass. All the
Is she
internet.
taking pictures of?
Yes, I don't see.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Are you serious? How can I see?
70% of the time, that's what happens. So his daughter was being sextorted, blackmailed for nudes, right? So she is blackmailed into taking more nudes. She's 11. He calls the police department at 6 p.m. They don't arrive until midnight. They show up and they say, hey, and he goes, yeah, I wanted you guys to talk to her. There's probably nothing you can do, which is false. There's probably nothing you can do, but I really would like you guys to talk to her and take a report on this. They said, well, she could probably be charged. That's what the police officer says. Charged? No, she can't. Well, she's taking the pictures, right? She goes, she's been manipulated by an 11-year-old adult. He goes, yeah, but she's still taking pictures. She can be charged. And he's like, and this is what happens if we're not training our police officers. It's a travesty of justice. And now that predator gets away, and they go on to another kid. So this slide here is the reason why our kids become victimized. You have to understand that when I'm teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, how old are they? How old are they, you think? 10, 11, right? Yeah. So they're anywhere from 9 to 11 years old. So when I talk to the kids in school, I'm like, how many guys got a TikTok? Yeah! How many guys got a Snapchat? Yeah! How many guys got an Instagram? Yeah! Well, wait a minute. You got to be 13 in order to have a social network. How are you guys in there? Oh, you lied about your age, didn't you? So I asked the next question. How many of you whined and whined and whined until your parents gave in? I'll get like 10 kids raising their hand. How many of you just did it behind your parents' back? You didn't care what they thought. 80% raised their hand. Right? And here's their thought process. Well, my older brother or sister have one. Everybody in school has one. Why can't I have one? It's not fair. Let's face it, our kids are not the best mathematicians in the world. Probably because of core math, but I digress. And did you ever try to help your kids with math homework? Okay, so what happens is they say, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't even care. So they put their name into TikTok. They put their email address. They put their phone number to create their account. Oh, wait. I got to put my date of birth in. Let's see. I was born in 2013. Do I go up with my date of birth? Do I go down with my date of birth? Oh, screw it. I'm just going to put in 2000. That'll get me in. I had one kid last week tell me I put in 1999 just to be sure. So, how old are they today? If they put in date of birth of 2000, how old are they today? 23, 24. So now I have a bunch of 9, 10, 11-year-olds running around the internet as a 24-year-old. Who's going to come talk to them, ladies and gentlemen? Adults, because they're 23. Who's going to send them inappropriate pictures and videos? Adults, because they're 23. Who's going to make your child take their clothes off and they're going to take nudes of them, of themselves? Adults, because your kid is 23. So what you have to do as parents and guardians and grandparents, you have to say, let me see your social network. Go to your profile. If you see 2000 as their date of birth, you have to change it back down to 13. Because if they have a date of birth between 13 and 17, no one 18 years of age or older can search them, send them anything, or talk to them. Every single one of those social networks you saw in Washington today, that's the rule. Now, it doesn't mean that predators can't have fake accounts as 13-year-olds, right? And talk to your kid. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you what they need to do with that. But it's really important that we have a technology talk with our kids about this. So, again, the parents who are not checking their profiles are putting their kids out for failure. But yet parents say to themselves, my kid would never do that. Well, parents have no understanding of how they're setting up the accounts. when they're allowing them to be 23. So one of the first schools in Freeport that I did this school year, how do you like all those 23-year-old 4th and 5th graders? When I asked them who's got a Snapchat, they all raised their hand. I walked away from that school with 3 victims. Last year, I taught in 62 schools. I came out with 32 victims from them going to my presentation, and they come see me after. Because my presentation to kids is a message of empowerment. And here's how I start out, and here's what I say 5 times during the hour and 15 minutes I'm with your kids. No one has the right to make you feel bad about yourself online. No one has the right to make you do something you know you shouldn't be doing. If you're sitting here listening to me and you're suffering in silence, you need to come see me after the presentation because I can make your pain stop. I can make your pain stop because when it comes to social networking and gaming online, no one online is anonymous. No one. There is no one I cannot find when it comes to social networking and gaming. Case in point, about 6 months ago, I was teaching in Tennessee, and the sheriff was in my law enforcement class. And he was so enamored by what I was teaching his officers and his SROs. He took me out to dinner after, as I was leaving, and he says, you know what? I want access to you 24/7. I was like, okay, just call me. Okay? He goes, no. I want you to help out in our cases when we have a case. I was like, what are you saying right now? He goes, I want to make you a deputy sheriff. He goes, I want you to come back every year, you take a drug test, you shoot on a range, and you're good to go. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. I said, law enforcement email so I can go in the portals? Yeah. So I had a homicide that we did with them last month, and we just had an escapee out of prison. The homicide, the guy killed his 1.5-year-old, made it look like a drowning, but he murdered her. And he parked his car off to the side, left a suicide note saying that he jumped off the bridge. I said, no. Give me his cell phone number. I tracked him through his Facebook. He was staying at a friend's house. We tracked him through social media. There's no one I cannot find. Any officer that goes to my class, there's no one they can't find. So please understand, if you have a situation happening, we can find out who it is. So when I say we can make your pain stop, that's what causes them to come to me. And last year I had to open up 28 criminal cases. This year I'm up to 25, and I've only done like 35 schools. I still got a whole another year to go, whole half a year to go. So one of the biggest problems right now with technology is that it's so easy. But just because it exists doesn't mean our kids have to use it, right? Tell me some of the things your parents told you when you were growing up. When you left the house, what did they tell you? What were some things they told you? Be back before dark. Be back before dark. The lights come on, your ass better be home, right? What else? Don't talk to strangers, right? Be careful. Don't talk to strangers. Be aware of your surroundings. I had a grandpa tell me, make sure you have enough quarters in your pocket. Payphones. So, yeah, dimes. And don't go near that stranger's car. Stay away from those white creepy vans, right? And God forbid, don't get in a stranger's car. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know how many parents send their kids in Ubers and Lyfts? Last year alone, they had 3,000 sexual assaults from Uber drivers to their ride shares. These people who are doing Uber, some of them are just getting out of prison. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're sex offenders. And they go to their cousin or their brother, hey, let me share your Uber license. I can't get a job. And I'll split the money with you. So they're giving their cousins, their brothers, the license, and they're letting them use their car. You think our kids are going to ask? They're what's the code? What was your, they're not going to ask that. The car pulls up, they know what car it is, they're going to get in on the parent's account. No, they're not supposed to accept that ride. but they're going to accept a ride. In Naperville, the Catholic schools had to send emails and letters to the parents. If you send an Uber for your kid, we will keep them until you come pick them up. It's an issue. Why would we put our kids in Ubers? Didn't our parents tell us different? But yeah, parents are totally, like when I go in the city, I got friends that live in the city on the north side, and they have like an after holiday party. I like to stir the pot a little bit. I was like, can you believe these parents put their kids in Ubers? And they're like, look at me like, what's wrong with that? So me and my best friend who hosts the party says, well, let me tell you what's wrong with that. And that's what's wrong with that. Here's what happens. Oh, sorry. So this is, I'm just going to tell you a report if we don't have time to. So if you go and look up Uber 3000 sex assaults, this will come up. It was a study that Uber did, and it'll show you what was involved in that. So parents need to know how to have a technology talk with their kids. So here's what I ask kids. How many of your parents had a technology talk that went something like this? If you talk to anybody you're not supposed to, if you send any bad pictures, you tell anybody where we live, you're going to be grounded. If you cyberbully anybody, you're going to lose your phone, you're not going to hang out with your friends, and the doors are going to go out the hinges of your bedroom. If you ever do that, right? And the reason why parents have technology talks like that with their children, why? Because that's how we were disciplined, right? But when it comes to technology, you can't do that. So I asked the kids, how many of your parents had a technology talk with you like that? 75% raised their hand. So if you made a mistake online or you got catfished, are you going to tell your parents that happened? And they all say absolutely not. They will never tell their parents that they're being victimized because they don't want to lose their phones. So I want to show you and the people at home what a technology talk looks like or should be, okay? So I have this thing called the golden ticket rule. What the golden ticket rule says is you're going to sit down with your kids. Now parents, it's okay to be here listening to this, to be very uncomfortable. That's okay, because you don't know any better. But I'm going to give you the tools on how your family won't be victimized, okay? It's okay. That's why you're here, right? So don't be embarrassed. Don't feel horrible about this. You're not a bad parent. You just didn't know, but you're here to get trained. So don't feel bad about this. You're going to go to your kid, and you're going to say, look, I heard this detective speaking the other night. Remember when mom and dad threatened you, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you? I want you to throw all of that out the window. As mom and dad or grandparents or guardian, we had no idea what was going on in social media and your gaming platform. Listen, we're responsible for you and everything that you do. If something bad happens to you, what I tell them, no one has the right to make them feel bad about themselves. No one has the right to make them do something they know they shouldn't be doing. They need to be able to come to you. If you come to us, we're going to give you that golden ticket. And what that golden ticket says, when you come to me and maybe you made a mistake, you maybe said something or sent something, we're going to give that golden ticket, and there will be no consequences. Kid's going to look at you like, really? Yes, really. Now, I don't want you to leave here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. You're not getting nothing. You're going to flip phone. Don't do that, because they will find a way. In every school, there is one kid that sells burner phones for $5. They collect old phones, or they steal phones, they system restore it, and they sell them for $5, and you will never know your kid has another account. So don't do that. The conversation is so important. Now, as parents, it's not that you're not going to give them consequences. You're not when they come to you. But you may redefine their boundaries, okay? Like maybe you put monitoring software on their device. Maybe you look at their profile and they have a profile that's set at 2000. Maybe you start over. That's not a consequence. That's just starting over to be safe. Now, I have a question for you. Are any of you thinking about getting your kid a device, a phone right now, and you're like on the fence? Okay. If you are, and at home if you are, Do not buy them an iPhone. Do not. You saw what happened in Washington, right? It's not their fault. It's Apple's fault. Apple does not allow real-time monitoring of their devices. If you want to get your kid a cell phone, make it an Android phone. If you refer to the handouts that I gave you, look at those. Bark is the most premier software out there right now, okay? It works on an iPhone, but it's not real time. You have to fool the phone to thinking that the iCloud is your Wi-Fi. There's something called an onboarding process, and you're not going to get everything that goes on in social media. If they have an Android, okay, an Android phone, you can then see almost everything that they're doing. You can get into Discord, you can get into Snapchat, you can get into Instagram. But with an iPhone, you can't. The highest level of monitoring is getting them the Bark phone. The Bark phone is an Android phone that actually has their monitoring software in it when it's made. So let's say you're going out to dinner, or you're at dinner at home, and your teen or tween during dinner is on their device on their Snapchat. You look over, okay. You open up your phone, turn it off remotely. Yep. You can turn off their Snapchat. You can turn off their Instagram. And you have full total control of that phone in a Bark phone. Okay? That's what the handouts I have for you. You can get it for 30 days for free with my code of BeSure. If you scan the one, it'll send you to the Bark website, and then you can get the Bark phone. It's really fantastic. I'll hit this a little more. So how do we have a conversation? So full disclosure, I am part of the Bark team, okay? What does that mean? Bark has specialists, myself, there's judges, there's attorneys, there's psychologists, there's psychiatrists, there's emergency room pediatric doctors that they have that they consider their expert panel. So if anything happens, like questions that parents have that arise from their monitoring, they call one of us and we answer the question. We also did a motion picture, which is called Childhood 2.0. Go ahead and take a picture of that, Childhood 2.0. This is a documentary, what elementary, junior high, and high school students are doing behind their parents' backs. It's going to show you what is trending and how they get around their parents and what they're doing in school. So this is how I want you to watch this. I would like you to watch this without your kids in the room. Watch it yourself. And if you think your child can handle the content, then watch it with them. Be able to pause it and look at your kid and have a conversation. But be careful. Do not pause it on a topic and say, hey, you're not doing this, are you? What do you think they're going to say? No, Mom. But if you say, pause, tell me what you know about this topic. They're going to say, well, Jenna does this, and Krista does this, and I heard Jimmy and Krista, and they're going to go blah, 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 because it's not pointed to them. But they do want to show you how smart they are, right? So when you see these topics, this is the trailer. So I'm going to show you how it's an hour and a half. It's on YouTube, and it's totally free. Okay?
Families were in communities. They were local, they were small.
I was born in the very depths of the Great Depression. I was put to work carrying wood, carrying water. I knew how to shell peas. I knew how to break beans. We still didn't have electricity.
I have 2 Instagram
I
accounts.
use Instagram, Snapchat,
and TikTok.
TikTok and Fortnite. I can just scroll for hours on end. 11 hours a day.
8, 9.
Maybe like 12. It's actually been a way that we can keep track of them out there in the real world where things really are scary.
The lives of kids were sort of changing slowly for a while, and then all of a sudden, most kids were able to get on social media, and that's when everything skyrocketed.
The rates at which they're experiencing problems continues to increase.
We also know that the teen suicide rate increased 56%.
Last year alone, we received over 18 million reports of international and domestic online child sexual abuse.
We have traded a false sense of safety and security for action.
So, law enforcement agencies and schools can contact BARC, and they can contract with their local movie house, and they show Childhood 2.0, and at the end of the movie, we are all on Zoom, the people who are in the movie, and they can ask us any question. It's a really great way to get the message out on what's going on. Okay, so let's talk about why our kids become blackmailed or sextorted. Let me explain to you how this happens, okay? Let's say your 11 or 12-year-old comes home from school, or your 13-year-old, and they don't want to do homework when they get home. They don't want to do chores. They say, I just want to decompress for a little while. So for 2 hours every day after school, they go on Roblox, Minecraft, or Fortnite, which are the games that all the kids are playing, right? Let's say they go on Fortnite or Minecraft. And they go on Minecraft, and they meet someone on there, and they're making these killer cities, underground caverns. They're really having a great time with their new friend they met on Minecraft. And they play with each other for 2 hours every day after school for 2 months. So after about 2 months, predators are very patient, they say to them, hey, let's go over to Snapchat and talk. Hey, let's go over to Discord, which is a chat room for gamers, okay? Let's go over there and talk. I tell my kids in school, ding, 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 this is your first red flag. If someone takes you off the gaming platform to go to private chat, they are not who they say they are. Like, what's wrong with that, detective? The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, is our clearinghouse of information for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We provide them with all our victim and suspect information. They provide us with something called a cyber tip. Here's how this works. NCMEC, the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, has an AI program that runs in the background of every social network, gaming platform, and cloud service, except for Apple. And what happens is they look for two things. They look for grooming chat between adults and children. The second thing they look for is something called CSAM, child sex abuse material, or child pornography. So when any of those two things are happening in the social network or gaming platform, this AI program flags it. Some actual person from their security team reads it. If it is true grooming, they send all that information to the National Center. What do they send them? The name, the address, credit card if there is one, IPs, email addresses, phone numbers, and the chat or the images. They send to the National Center. National Center does a background. They geolocate the IP to the ICAC that is in the area of the suspect or the victim. So then we get this cyber tip to investigate why this person is having inappropriate conversations with a minor. We execute search warrants, and we see how many victims they have. Predators know that we do this. So if they take your kid off of the gaming platform that's being monitored by this AI program and take them to private chat, they got your kid. So the first red flag I tell my kids, someone takes you off of the gaming platform to go to private chat, they're not who they say they are. Doesn't stop there. Let's say your kid's not listening to you or to me. Say, what's the harm? Sure, let's go over to Discord DM, direct message. So once they get them into private message, there's nobody watching that. It's private. Then they will say to the kid, we've been friends for so long. 2 months. We've been friends for so long. Do you want to see what I really look like? And your kid's like, I don't care. They will send your child 2 or 3 pictures of them, pictures or videos of themselves naked. Okay? They send it to them. But it's not them. Remember, they have 250 victims to pick from. They got those pictures from another kid that they sextorted. Now they're using those pictures to your kid. And when they send the pictures, the common denominator of every sextortion case I've ever arrested, I've arrested over 100 of them, is this. When those pictures are sent, here's what comes next. Now you owe me one pic. Now you owe me one pic. And if we're not having this conversation with our children, here's the teen brain. This is what it thinks. Oh my God, is that how it is? Well, he says I own one pic. There's got to be some internet law where I have to reciprocate with the same type of picture, or else he's not going to play with me anymore. He's one of my friends I've known for so long. I don't want to upset them. Maybe I'll just give him a little boob shot. He sent it. 3 days later, that friend they've known for so long says, hey, how do you like your new Instagram account with your boob shot on and all your other pictures? I'm going to send this to your family, your team, your church, everybody that you know if you don't make me videos every week. Your kid's like, oh my God, why would you do this? I got to tell my parents. Oh, wait, if I tell my parents, you're going to be grounded. I'm taking your phone away. You're not going to see the light of day. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't lose my phone. He says if I just make him one sexual video, he's going to leave me alone. I'll just make the video. It's never one video. It's never just one picture. It'll continue until your kid can't handle it and they have a breakdown. Now they're being sextorted. So ladies and gentlemen, when I teach in these schools, the reasons why kids come to me is because of this. I left Oregon. I had 2 girls come to me, and the one girl says, my boyfriend saw my girlfriend's naked picture because of the guy she used to date. And I'm like, how many pictures does he have? She goes, probably about 10. And she tells me that her boyfriend's friends at the high school, there's like 16 of them, they share all the girls' naked pictures in the high school. So I just got done training the Oregon State Police. I called my guy. He interviews the girl, calls me back, goes, you're not going to believe this. I have 10 girls that this guy is victimized. And this is like in John Day, Oregon. There's only 5,000 people in the town. It doesn't matter. It happens everywhere. Okay? We have to have that conversation with our kids. It's not okay. So here's what I tell your kids. Like, who does this? Like, what jerk-off does this to our kids, right? Let me tell you who does this. 60% of the suspects are someone your kid goes to school with or grew up with. 60% of the suspects who do this is someone your kid knows. 40% of them are someone they met on a social network or a gaming platform like I described. Okay? That's how it happens. So what I tell your kids, and I ask them, how many of you have ever received the text, you owe me one pic? I'll get 10, 20, 30 kids raising their hands. I said, if you answer, you owe me one pic, you're going to be a victim of sextortion. So I give them a tool. I tell them this. Now you know what this means, right? Whether you know the person or not, if someone sends you, you owe me one pic, you know you're about to be sextorted, and you're going to be made miserable. So if someone sends this to you, this is what I want you to do. I want you to type back to them, I don't owe you jack, bro. And I get them to chant it, to yell it, to scream it. I don't know you, Jack. I don't know you, Jack. I'll do this class at Oak Prairie. 3 years later, I'll get them at the freshman center. They look at me setting up my stuff. He goes, hey, detective, I don't know you, Jack, buddy. And I'm like, yeah, you remembered. Actually, in Beement High School, way south, they want to do a T-shirt contest. So we did a T-shirt contest. And the grand prize of the best T-shirt was $300. So I had 4 kids submit their stuff. They put it online. They had 200 votes for it, and we came up with a shirt, and now I'm going to toss this shirt to every kid that I see, like in a baseball game. I don't owe you, Jack. It's a whole movement. So if you go on social media and you put in hashtag I don't owe you, Jack, you'll see everybody that comments about it in Twitter and all that. It's just a great way to do this. So I want to show you exactly how sextortion happens. This is done by the National Center. She had an online boyfriend, Zach. She wasn't ready to give pictures, but all of a sudden today she is. And this is how it happens.
Hi, Zach. Here's another video from our special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish you went to my school more closer so we could finally check it out. Get in an hour. Don't spend too long with them. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. I wanted to give you
See how big it is? Understand if this is happening to your kid, it's happening to 20, 30 others at the same time. That's why we need to report it. You guys are lucky you live in Lockport because your officers are trained and they know exactly what to do. Now, I want you to know that sextortion for boys is different than sextortion for girls. Sextortion for girls is about more pictures and videos for the child pornographer. Sextortion for boys is about money. There isn't a week that's gone by over the past school year that I don't get a call on this. And I tell these boys, if it's too good to be true, did you ever hear that? If it's too good to be true, it usually is. So if a really, really pretty girl wants to get you on cam and she starts taking her clothes off, it's never going to end well if you take your clothes off in front of a cam. It's never going to end well, okay? So don't do it. But because their hormones guide their decisions, they do it. Here's how it happens. It usually starts in Roblox, then it goes to Snapchat, and then it goes to Instagram video chat.
And we've really kind of seen it exponentially grow around June. Sextortion is a problem no parent wants to find their child caught up in. Compromising pictures or conversations threaten to be exposed.
And now, law enforcement is seeing a new shift in how sextortion happens. It shows gangs targeting adolescent and teen boys instead of girls. Casey Cronin says more in tonight's special report.
It starts out simple enough. A young boy receives a social media friend request from a cute girl he doesn't know. But there's much more to that message.
So around to 100, 200, 300 friend requests in one single day.
Rich Wistocki is a retired Naperville cybercrime detective who now travels the country talking to students and law enforcement about cyber safety.
But we're seeing a break right now where gangs all over the country and all over the world are sex trafficking young girls. And their job is to engage in boys' conversations online and in video chat.
Once the boy and the girl are video chatting, Wistocki says the girl does this.
They ask the kid, "You like what you see?" And then they start engaging in sexual activity over a webcam. Well, what's happening in the background? That gang person who has trafficked this young girl, screen capture, screen capture, screen capture.
Wistocki says the young girl will also ask the boy to see his face and his room, things that will make him identifiable. While that's happening,
In the background, they're copying all their contact information on their Snapchat and their Instagram. So when the sexual activity is done, the gang person comes up on the camera and says, "Now that we have you, you better send us $250 in gift cards."
Wistocki says some boys will go get their parents' credit cards so they can send the money to the gang that is sextorting him.
Then it's either being sent to the Philippines, the UK, Russia.
The trends that we're seeing are international offenders, specific kind of to West Africa, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast.
Chicago HSI Special Agent Susan Jensen investigates child exploitation cases. She's also seen this new sextortion shift.
Our office is receiving leads on a daily basis with individuals that have been exploited.
While it can be difficult to prosecute an overseas offender, Jensen says Homeland Security's Cybercrime Center is working closely with its international field offices and foreign governments to try to make that happen. There are steps you can take to protect yourself from becoming a victim.
A lot of what we're seeing now is Instagram and Snapchat, different social media sites where kids have their profiles that are unblocked, they're not private, and then they have their list of friends available for everybody to see as well.
Jensen says making your profile private is one of the biggest steps you can take to protect yourself from sextortion scams. She adds it's one kids don't often do.
One of the things we see are kids want to have several, hundreds, thousands of followers, so they'll leave their profile open and anybody can friend them.
Jensen and Wistocki say it's important to send investigators screenshots of everything that transpired, information on where they want the money to go, and user ID accounts. Lastly, have the technology talk with your kids. Let them know what the rules are when using their devices. And this.
No one has the right to make you do something you're not supposed to do. No one has the right to make you feel bad about yourself. If they're sextorting you, you need to tell your parents.
Another important step that our experts recommend parents take is no electronic devices in your kids' rooms when they go to sleep at night. And if you are planning on getting your child a cell phone as a holiday gift, Wistocki says make it an Android because you can monitor an Android phone more robustly than other types of cell phones. Casey Cronin, Fox 32, Chicago.
Probably,
So that's why they get in trouble, okay? If we're not having this technology talk, they are going to do it, okay? And understand that there's no such thing as privacy. So I go through what the kids are using: TikTok, Snapchat, Fortnite, Instagram, Discord, Twitter or X, Call of Duty, Roblox, Minecraft, Oculus, Shorts, Be Real. These are the main things that they're using every single day. Now, do you have any of Oculus? Oculus? So Oculus with the VR game. So this is how I put it to the kids. I go up to an 8th grader or a freshman in school and I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, what's your Facebook?" They'll look at you like, "Facebook? That's for old people like my parents." Boomer. I don't have a Facebook account. It's for old people. Well, in order for you to have an Oculus, you have to have a Facebook account. So who are your kids going to be playing with? Old people, right? So here's 4 things that you need to do if you have Oculus, okay? The first thing you need to do is do not allow your child to play Oculus in a private room of the house. No basement, no bedroom. Make sure it's in the dining room, living room, kitchen, whatever, okay? Number 2, go into the settings, turn the speaker on in the headset. Because predators will ask your kids while they're playing with them off-the-wall questions like, "What was your bra size? What size underwear do you wear?" So when I was catching predators, I used to have from Target a kid bra size chart, and they used to ask me. It's like, "Ooh, 12 years old. Boom, that's what it's got to be." So I had to have that information because these are the questions. While they have your kid intrigued in playing the game, you get a left side question, and if the speaker's on, you say, "What did he ask you?" And it's going to alert you. Okay. The third thing you do is turn messaging and chat off in the settings. Turn it off. Number 4, go ahead and pull out your cell phones right now. Go to your App Store or Google Play and type in Oculus app. Oculus app in your App Store or your Google Play. Oculus app, you can download it to your phone, and then you Bluetooth connect your phone into the headset, and you can see exactly what they're seeing remotely by downloading the Oculus app. Okay? So these are the 4 things. Public room in the house, turn on the speaker in the headset, turn off the messaging and chat, and download the app if you want to see what kind of rooms they're going in remotely. So again, one of the biggest offenses, biggest places where predators go where the kids are. And one of the most popular games right now with our kids is Roblox. But what, of course, Roblox or your kids never told you, they opened up chat rooms in Roblox. So back in September, an 11-year-old New Jersey girl was kidnapped. How did this happen? This guy was posing as a 13-year-old boy. He met her in Roblox. When I ask kids how many playing Roblox, yeah, they're all playing in Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite. Predators go where the kids are. The biggest mistake parents make, probably one of the biggest, is that when you allow your children to charge their devices in the rooms at night, that's when you're setting them up to be victimized. The common denominator of all my real victims, where they actually were met with a predator, was that I had a parent allowing them to charge their device in the rooms at night. When you allow this as a parent or grandparent, or you're the guardian, when you allow this, you're sleeping. They shut the door so you can't hear them. They don't need to talk. It's typing, reading, and performing. This is how you set your kids up for failure. This is how they're going to get extorted. So what are you going to get back if you go home and you change this rule, right? What are they going to tell you? But I needed to wake up in the morning. Go to Walmart and buy a $10 clock. But I need to set 3 alarms because it wakes me up. All right, go to Amazon and buy 2 for $1. And then you put them in strategic places and your ass has to get up to shut them off. Just because the technology exists doesn't mean you have to give it to them. Okay? No devices in their rooms at night. None. Because that's when they get victimized. Common denominator. Because when you allow this equals this. When you ask your teachers, like when you go to parent-teacher conference, and if the teacher says, he falls asleep a lot in school, that means he's on his device at night. Okay? So ask your teachers that. Is my kid falling asleep during class? Then you know they're using their devices at night. All right. So here's what I tell all my new detectives and my SROs. When a mom comes to you freaking out because they think something's happened, moms are always right. Moms have a gift from God called the maternal instinct. It is designed to protect your babies. Whether your baby is 6 months old or 40, that stuff never goes away. Right, Graham? Never goes away. You have a feeling something is wrong, and I tell my officers and my detectives, never, ever discount a mom's intuition, because they are 100% right about something, right? And moms, where do you think you're going to find that answer? This is their reputation. This is their life. This is their communication. This is their deepest, darkest secrets. If you're not in it, you will never know why you're feeling the way you are. But if you're in it and you monitor appropriately, you're going to know. You're going to know by looking in this device why you're feeling that way. Now, that guy sitting next to you in the lazy boy chair, rubbing his belly, oh, leave her alone. Remember when we went to the woods and we had a kegger? Leave her alone. We're not doing that stuff. Parents, never, ever, never, ever tell your kids what you did when you were their age that was illegal. Never do that. Because when you do that, you're giving them the gift certificate to go do that thing. And they're going to try it. And when they get caught by the cops or the principal, what's the first thing they're going to say when you pick them up? What are you talking to me for? My mom and dad did it too. Just talk to them. Cops are going to be like, you told them what? Our kids don't need to know what we did that was illegal. My boys thought I should have been in the seminary. I would never tell them anything that I did. Okay? So it's so important because our kids need mentors, right? They need to look up to somebody and say, my dad would never do that. And we need to set the example. So many parents are worried about being their kids' friends, and they want to get on the same level. Oh, sweetheart, when I was your age and we smoked weed, it wasn't as big a deal as it is now. What's the difference? The only difference is weed will kill you, and you can become addicted to weed now. The THC content in weed back 20 years ago is way different than it is now. We're having kids go into psychological episodes. Psychological breakdowns from the amount of THC they're ingesting from a vape pen. It is killing our kids, and it's opening the door to addiction. Okay? No war stories. Our kids need mentors. Okay? So when I talked to the kids, I said, they ask me, well, detective, who can I talk to then? Easy. If you can tell me 5 things: their first name, their last name, what's their phone number, where they live, and where they go to school. If you can tell me these 5 things, you can tell them. Not by what they tell you, but what you know to be true because you know this information. So if you went to your kid's Instagram account, right? You saw all these messages. Hey, who's Jimmy Jam 23? You're telling them where you live, what you do, and all this stuff. Well, that's Jimmy from my 4th period gym class. That's a verification. If they can physically verify who the person is, they can talk to them. But here's the rule of thumb. If they can't tell you these 5 things, ladies and gentlemen, everyone else online is a liar. You cannot believe anything anyone tells you online unless you've proven it for yourself. Now, I want to show you how predators get to your kids. I want to show you what they think about when they're talking to your kids.
So pretty easy. We can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for attention.
Attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys men.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really interested.
Interested in the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
Chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
Online predators know what they're doing. Do you?
So yet we have our young kids believing everything they hear and see when they're in chat rooms, okay? So what I show the kids is predators never want to be seen initially because they want to build all the ammunition they can against the kid. So when they have enough saying, and if you call the police on me, if you tell anybody about me, I'm going to tell everybody you gave me pictures and your parents are going to get arrested. These are the things. So they use your kid for like months. And then they don't care if they meet with them because they have so much over on their kid and the kid is like totally devastated or in love with the predator. Okay? So here's what I tell them. Predators never want to be seen. I have my kids. Ask yourself this question. How many webcams do you have? So they say, well, I have a webcam on my Chromebook from school. I have a webcam on my home computer that I game on. I have a webcam on my cell phone, and I have a webcam on my iPad. So in order not to be seen, here's a simple way knowing that you're talking to a predator. Let's say the predator says they've been playing with them on Fortnite or Minecraft, and they want to take them to a private chat. Hold on a second. I remember Detective Wostocki saying that. You know what? I asked my mom and dad. I had to get permission. Let's go on FaceTime real quick. Before we do anything, I just want to make sure you are who you say you are. Again, we have our kid. We got to give our kids tools, right? That when that situation happens, they need to come to you with permission. Hey, I've been playing with this person, and they want to take me to private chat. Is it okay if I go on FaceTime with them? Sure, but I want to be in the room is your response, right? So when they say, hey, let's go to FaceTime real quick, a predator will say one of 4 things. They will say, oh, I don't have a cam. What? Every kid has at least 2. Mine's broken. Broken? All right, hit the button, flip it around, and so I can see on the other one. Predator. Oh, I don't have enough bandwidth for that. Bandwidth. Kids are like, what's bandwidth? So I tell the kids, bandwidth, B word, equals boomer, right? Because when we came up with the internet, we had to log into our cell phone, go on AOL for a half hour and hope we got on. If we didn't have enough bandwidth, we weren't getting in. If they say I don't have bandwidth, you know you're talking to a boomer. Number 4. Sure, okay, they'll say, let's go to Instagram video chat. They go to video chat, right? And they're all excited. They're going to meet their new friend, right? The predator can see them. Predator can hear them. But you can only hear the predator. You can't see them because it's kind of blurry when you're looking at the phone. Predators take Scotch tape and they put it over the cam. And then they'll blame your kid. Well, I can see you fine. Must be on your end. I don't know why you can't see me. Let's keep on talking. Predator. So any excuse, the person that your kid met on a gaming platform, for them not to see him on cam, you know they're talking to a predator. any excuse they give, but those are the 4 biggest ones. So, again, if you're monitoring social media, I just want to get through this. You will know if your kid's involved in drugs. You will definitely know. So if you monitor their social networks, you're going to know everything that they're doing. Everything. And that's your job. Again, we do this one pill can kill. I want to get to the another part here. I want to get to this exercise. I have about another 15 minutes, then we'll be done. So go ahead and take your phones out. Go to your App Store or Google Play. And I want you to type in hide my pictures or hide my videos. Hide my pictures or hide my videos. Go ahead and type that in the search, Google Play or your App Store. You're going to see 10 or 12 different apps. These are called vaults. These vaults were created to hide pictures and videos away from you. Your kids use vaults to hide pictures they don't want anybody to see. The most popular one is the calculator app. It looks like a calculator. It works like a calculator. If you put 1 + 1 =, it'll give you 2. But if your kid has not changed the default password, all you got to do is put dot, 1, 2, 3, 4 dot, and you hit AC, all the pictures and video file structure is going to show up that they don't want you to see. So, oh my God, how do I know if my kid has this? Easy. No kid needs 2 of the same calculators on their phone. If they have 2 of the same calculators, one of them is a vault. Okay? Now, the biggest violator of the vaults is Snapchat. Okay? So if you have Snapchat, go ahead and pull this up. Let me show you how to get there. So if you have Snapchat, go ahead and go to your Snapchat. Okay? So here's Snapchat, right? The big round button is the snap button. To the left of that, there's a deck of cards. Click on the deck of cards. When you click on the deck of cards, Dominic will show you. When you click on the deck of cards, you'll see home, camera roll, dreams, screenshots. You roll it over, and you'll see stories and My Eyes Only. If you click on My Eyes Only and a pad appears, they're already hiding pictures and videos they don't want you to see. If you click on My Eyes Only and the pad appears, they're already hiding stuff they don't want you to see. Now, if it says click here to set up your My Eyes Only, there's nothing in there. They haven't set it up yet. Usually when parents go home or if they have their kids with them, they have their kids' devices, and they're like, she's got a pad. So go back, and they'll say, put the code in. I don't know what that is, Mom. They're lying to you. My kid would never lie. They're lying to you. Oh, Mom, I set that up a long time ago. I don't know what that is. They're lying to you. Oh, Mom, I forgot the code. They're lying to you. Parents, your kids will lie to you, just so you know, all right? So they know what the code is. When you put the code in, you will find the most egregious, horrible pictures they keep in My Eyes Only, okay? So it's really important that you guys, as parents and guardians, know exactly what that means, okay? And I want to show you how we investigate internet crime. So if your kid comes to you, the reason why we can find anybody, and there's something called ECPA, Electronic Communication Privacy Act. It was written in 1987. It is the process of how law enforcement can get information from social networks. If they have the information, we can get the information. If it's an emergency where death or great bodily harm is about to happen or happening now, like I have this class called Identifying and Intercepting School Shooters through something called Leakage. Over the last 12 years, 93% of the school shooters posted online before they did it. They posted their intentions. This is called leakage. So you go back to any school shooter, Parkland, Nashville, they posted what they wanted to do before they did it. I train school officials and law enforcement how to get at that leakage and make that kid safe before the shooting starts. Okay? Last year we had 55. This year we're on number 19 so far with the people who have taken my class, that they've stopped these types of assaults. So the first thing I want to show you is the cyberbullying statute. I told you this before. Making any comment, request, suggestion, or proposal which is obscene with intent to offend. If there's no sexual connotation there with the word obscene, it's not a crime. So I'm in the process of changing that. Hopefully I can get that done this next session. Cyber stalking, it happens on 2 or more occasions. And what it says is, engages in a course of conduct, 2 or more occasions, directed at a specific person. He or she knows or should know that this 2 or more occasion will cause a reasonable person, number 1, fear for his or her safety or safety of a third person. There is a number 2, but you can't charge anybody with that, called causing emotional distress. But if they're causing you emotional distress, you can file a police report on it. You can get an order of protection under emotional distress. If they do it again, they're violating the order of protection, and they can get arrested for that. Many people doesn't know this happens, and it correlates to what the mayor was saying when he started. It is illegal for a person to create an account on someone else without their permission. What the law says, a person commits false personation when he or she knowingly and falsely represents him or herself to be another actual person, and doesn't act in such an assumed character with the intent to intimidate, threaten, injure means injure the reputation of, defraud or obtain a benefit from another. You're not allowed to have another account without that other person's permission, using their picture, their name, or their likeness. This is where our kids get in trouble in school because of something called TikTok challenges. TikTok challenges were designed to get your kids arrested, and a lot of times it happens in a bathroom. So what I show the kids is, it is illegal for any person to knowingly make a video recording or transmit live video of another person without that person's consent in a bathroom or locker room. So kids are videotaping and Snapchatting fights. They're Snapchatting dances. They're Snapchatting people going to the bathroom. They're Snapchatting people's feet when they're in the bathroom. That's a felony. And I have to train my kids. You can't do this anymore. It's illegal. You get arrested for it. All right. So one of the tools I like to give parents, this is called Exit Plan. Now, an exit plan, it's a super secret code that you have between you and your child. This is giving them a lifeline. My boys, it was XXX. They texted me XXX. I knew I had to make up a story to pick them up. So if they were dropped off or they were at a friend's house, maybe they started smoking weed or people were drinking, they knew they couldn't be there. They say, "I'm here, Dad," and then they go in, XXX. So now I had to make up a story. "Hey, Nana fell. I think she broke her hip. I gotta pick you up now. I need your help getting her to the hospital." So they get the message wherever they're at, right? "Hey, I gotta go. Something happened to my grandma." "Sit down. You just don't want to smoke with us." "Look, you idiot. Something happened to my grandma. I gotta go." And they're out. This is giving your kid a lifeline to you. Now, there's a way you do this. I don't care which kind of parent you are. Parent number 1 says, if you use Exit Plan and you're in a place and you're using good choices and you want me to save you, when you come in my car, I'm not going to ask you any questions. I want you to know I'm there for you 100%. I'm just glad you're using smart choices. That's one parent. Another parent, the kid gets in the car, said, "All right, who was there? What were they doing? I want all their names." Yeah, that's me. But anyways, I don't care which parent you are. Doesn't matter. The trick of it is your kids need lifelines, an exit plan. It can be an emoji. I had a grandpa tell me that he uses chickens. If his grandkids ever said chickens, he knew he had to go save them. Make up a story to go pick them up. It can be an emoji. It could be anything. But our kids need a lifeline. They need this because they're going to find themselves in precarious situations that they need to be saved from. Okay? Exit plan. Another tool I give your kids is something called the 3P test. Before you send out any Snapchat, Instagram, or TikTok, if you were to first show it to your parent, your pastor, or your principal, what would they say? What would they say about what you're sending out? If you can hear them saying, "Oh my God, I didn't know you can dance like that," send it out. Who cares? But if you can hear any one of your 3Ps saying, "Why would you do that? Why would you discredit our family or our church like that?" Now everybody's going to see it and everybody's going to know that you... If it violates the 3P test, you know you shouldn't send it. That's a rule of thumb I give all my kids. All right, here we go. God forbid any of this stuff happens to you guys, okay? Such as false personation, harassment, cyberbullying, cyberstalking, sexual exploitation of a child, instant solicitation. There's 5 things you need to give to the police. Now, if you're going to take a picture, don't take a picture till I get to the end, okay? Number 1, I need you to take screen captures of everything. The chat, the profile, what she said, what he said, the pictures, the videos. Screen capture, screen capture, screen capture. Print it out and make it a file. That's the first thing we need. Number 2, get the user ID. I'm going to show you where those are at. If I don't have the right user ID, the police can't do subpoenas and search warrants. I'm going to show you where they're at to get the right one. One of the biggest mistakes some patrol officers and school officials make is they tell the student who's trying to report to them, "Oh, just report it to the social network abuse. They'll take care of everything." That's wrong advice. Because what happens is when you report it to the social network before you report it to the police, it could be something called a violation of terms of service. If you violate the terms of service, that account could be deleted. So let's say it happens a second time. Now they're going to the police. When the police go do their subpoenas and their search warrants, what are they going to get back? Nothing. It's already gone from the social network because you reported to them first. If you don't want the police involved, then yes, report it to abuse. But if you want to know who's doing this to you, these are the things we need to do, and do not contact the abuse section. We have the power in something called a preservation letter. It's the first step in any internet investigation. We have the power to delete an account. We have the power to lock an account, or no locks or deletions where they don't even know what's going on, that we're already doing an investigation. Okay? Next, if there has been no contact of an insulting and provoking nature, so if they didn't meet with a predator, if they didn't make child pornography on a continuous basis, don't do this step. If this happened where there was contact of some sort, they have to go to some place called the CAC, the Child Advocacy Center, okay? If there has not been any contact, I need details in a typed statement and how it made them feel. It goes something like this. I was in Roblox. My gamer tag was this. I met gamer tag this. We played for about 2 months. He wanted to go over to Discord. And then when we went to Discord, he sent me 3 naked pictures, and he said, "You owe me one pic," and this is how it made me feel. I need details typed up, and then I need everything, number 5, I need everything printed out, and then I need everything saved in a flash drive. Not 1 flash drive, 2 flash drives, because sometimes cops lose stuff. So you gotta keep one as backup in case it gets lost. So then when you go to the police or the police come to your house, I'm a victim of sextortion. Here's all the printouts, and here's a flash drive. The flash drive is so important, ladies and gentlemen, because when we go into that law enforcement portal, they don't believe us of what we're trying to do, especially if it's an emergency. We have to give them proof. So we put the flash drive in, we take that screenshot of the threat or whatever it is, and we have to upload it to our portal so they can see what we're talking about. And only then will they do what we want them to do, is if they have proof. So these are the 5 things. Go ahead and take a picture of that if you need to. Again, in law enforcement all over the country, this is what we need in order to find out who's responsible. So everybody knows how to do a screen capture, I would guess. power button, home button if it's a iPhone 9 or below. iPhone 10s and above, it's a squeeze at the top, okay? For Androids, it's usually power down, power and volume down, or palm swipe to capture. You can set it like that to take a screen capture. Now, where are the user IDs? In Instagram, it's the name at the top. That's what we need. In TikTok, it's at and then the name. It's either on the lower left of their For You page or it's in their profile. At and then the name. In Snapchat, it's not the top name, it's the bottom name that we need. They can change either one, but the bottom name is the user ID that we need. Okay, so when you see Snapchat chat and you're taking a picture of that Snapchat chat, that's not the name. You have to go to the profile of that Snapchat, and we need the name underneath that name. That's what's going to identify them. So you have to know, like when we were kids and it was Friday night, how did we find out where people were hanging out? Call somebody, page somebody, right? That's where we would find out where people are going over the weekend. Our kids, you know how they find out where people are hanging out? They go to their Snap Map. And they can see who's by Jimmy's house, who's by Chris's house, who's by Larry's house. That's how they find out where everybody's at. So what you can do to turn this off, you go to the settings, right in the upper right, you go to ghost mode and turn ghost mode on. That'll turn off the location services. Okay? Now, do you guys know when someone screenshots a snap, what happens? It alerts the person who owns that account. So someone takes a snap, like a screen capture of their Snapchat, and lets them know that that was done. Well, it's too late. They already have it, right? And there's also something called a screen recorder. These are apps that you can have running in the background of Snapchat. It's recording your screen, and they won't even know that everything they're putting out is being recorded. Again, reinstating that 3P test is so important to guide them in what they should and shouldn't send out. So this is one of my team members, Matt. He's got a fantastic story I'd like to play for you. It's very powerful. He's a Zion school resource officer. He was a gang member most of his life, and he wanted to turn his life around, so he became the police. And he thought he was going to bridge the gap between his community and the police. When he became a police officer, both communities rejected him. So he found Christ. There was a whole situation with him. And he runs a non-for-profit called My Father's Business. He takes inner city kids from Thursday to Sunday, and they go on field trips. He's born again, so they go to church with him. He takes them bowling, takes them to see colleges. He gets them off the street. He's got about 50 kids in his program right now, but I want you to hear his story. And it's all about monitoring.
Unlikely story between a friendship between a cop and a young man that eventually turned into a father-son type relationship. I run an outreach program entitled My Father's Business in my city, and what we do is we reach out to what we would consider high-risk youth, and we give them a safe place. We teach them about God, we mentor them, we try to keep them safe and off the streets. And in the process of running this, I happened to come across Tyree in 2015. Now, at the time he reached out to me, I was a little leery of him because he talked a little different. He talked like an adult. He said he was only 17. So I was doing background on these kids, so I looked up his, and he's actually on probation for a violent crime. And so I've been kind of a little, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, is he trying to set something up? Because this was the time of the Michael Brown thing, and people in the country started turning against the police. So I was a little cautious when I met him. And of course, it tells me I'm the most violent black in my city. So I go there, and he comes running out of one of the houses and tells me his story. It turns out that he was abandoned at birth by his mother and his father, and he got adopted by a lady after 2 weeks in the hospital, and it was his foster mom. She died when he was 3. He said he always struggled with his identity and always wondered why he would be left by his birth parents. And that was kind of his goal in life. And when we met, he just wanted some help. And after I got to know him, after a few minutes of talking to him, I just realized that this man, this young man who looked rugged, when you saw him, you might think that he was legitimate, respected on the streets, 17-year-old kid. But he just wanted some help. And we connected right away. And out of all the kids that I've helped in my program, there's one soldier that sticks out. I always call them my little soldiers. But there's one that just head and shoulders, was a leader, always took care of people. I remember we used to give him stuff. We'd give him, if he didn't have food at the house, we'd give him grocery money, or we'd bring him goods. And then later I'd come around, and we had to stop with just giving all the stuff to the neighborhood, because like, he just wanted to help other people. Like, brother, we can help them too, we just make sure you eat. So that was really his heart. And he became what I would call a mixture of my best friend and my adopted son. And he took one biological son, and he took Junior under his wing and protected him with his life. And Junior felt so safe around Tyree. Now we kept in touch, talked every day. I knew he had a social media, and I used to monitor his stuff pretty religiously, because believe it or not, us as parents or parent figures or guardians, social media is a young person's life. Their entire heart and their life is going to be put up there. So it's our job. It's not a suggestion. It's kind of like it's a must. It's mandatory that you monitor your kid's social media. And so I kept up with it for a while, and everything was going great. He was set. He was actually going to come, and we were planning on. He was going to turn 21 soon, so we were planning on moving him in and getting him a job and really seeing him get on his feet. And I kind of got lax with monitoring his social media. And he'd been a little bit distant, but nothing out of the ordinary. I just figured he was just a young man that checked in with me often, but he was struggling in life like any young man that's coming at 21 years old. On April 13th of 2019, I'm just at my house in the kitchen, and my phone rings. And I'll never forget that. I just picked it up because I was getting ready to go to the movies, and I hear a voice screaming on the other end. And it was his niece. And I can never forget, she's just screaming, "Tyree killed himself, Tyree killed himself." And I've never felt physically weak from hearing something before. I basically literally had to drop to my knees. And that moment still, I replay that every day of my life. That was 4 years ago. And it's never gone away, it's never healed, it'll always hurt. But I've decided that instead of just being miserable and dwelling in that pain, I will tell his story. And there's certain facets of the story that I want to tell. And it goes hand in hand with what we do at We Share Consulting, because we train parents on how to monitor their kids' social media. So I made the unfortunate discovery on his social media for the 3 days before he left. And I could see that he was doing lives, and I saw a side of him that I never knew existed. He was crying, he was pleading, he was reaching out, basically telling the world how much pain he was in, pain that I never knew about, and basically was telling the world what he was going to do. And my biggest regret in life is that I didn't monitor him daily like I should have, because I would have solved that in a heartbeat. I would have embraced him and said, "You're coming with me, and we're going to solve this pain right now." So I want to use this story as a lesson for parents. Don't ever get lax. Don't ever stop monitoring what your children do, whether they're 7 or 27. They'll always be your baby. So monitor their social media. Check out what they're doing and make it a consistent thing. I learned the hard way go through that. So that's why we exist at Bishop, so we're gonna teach you how you can monitor this stuff and how you can prevent another tragedy from happening.
You can see he carries that pain with him. And every time he teaches, he leaves these parents crying because parents are lax. They're just lax. They just don't think they have to do it. But isn't it better to do it and nothing happen than not do it and feel like that? Again, he has just a great message. So I want to show you exactly how the Bark phone works, and then we're done. This is a video. Sometimes I lose the sound on it, but I'll narrate it to show you what happens. So mom is doing her own thing on her phone, and he's getting these text messages. Okay? No one in school likes you. You're really such a waste of space. Just go kill yourself. So what happens is Bark will send the parent that they've got something. And then you open it up, and it shows you where it's coming from and what was said. That's a trigger word. So if it's self-harm, drugs, grooming, sexting, sextortion, drinking, it'll send you to an alert, and it'll show you exactly what was said on the phone. Now again, on the Bark phone, it gets into every social network because it's built into the Bark phone. It's built into the Android. It's really fantastic. And it gives you the ability to, when something comes up, and boom, you can handle it right away. There's no way of getting around it. There's no way of taking it out of the phone. Okay? So that's how it happens. The final slide I give to all my kids is this. If anyone ever tells you, don't tell your parents, they're going to harm you. Period. Now, unless the parent is the abuser, that's a different story, right? I don't care if it happens at school, social media, their team, gaming, at church, anyone, anywhere ever tells your kid, don't tell your parents. So when I was in Oregon, I had all the parents, some of them had their kids' devices. Go into the messaging of your kid's device. You know where it has a search bar there? Type in don't tell. A parent came up to me and says, I don't know who this person is. And they said, don't tell your mom we're going here. So she asked the principal. It was the maintenance guy. So you never know unless you check, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a great tool for parents. Go in their messages and type in the search don't tell. See who's telling your kids don't tell you. You'd be surprised on what you come up with. That's my information. Any questions that I can answer you? Any questions? Yes?
So can you get the Bark app, but not the phone? It's just not...
Either one.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 3 levels, right? If you have an iPhone, you can get, Bark will work, but it's latent. It's not real time. It has to wait until they get home. You can buy your kid an Android phone and put Bark into that with that code that you have on the sheet. Just put in Be Sure. You got to put a credit card in, put Be Sure, and you get a 30 days free to try it out. Or you can go to the Bark phone, scan the code on that sheet. It'll take you to the Bark, and you order the phone. I think it's like $25 a month with service. So you're paying that anyways, really. And you have total control of the phone. And then there's something called Bark Home, which is a separate router that goes on your router at home, and it'll filter everything happens in your house. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, Steve?
Yeah, thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just appreciate it. Please.
I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
So, I meant to ask this. So, like, I don't do social media other than I'm old Facebook. So, like, do you recommend parents to, like, get stuff like Snapchat so I can really understand?
Yeah, so YouTube is your friend, right? From cooking a casserole to changing your brakes. You go on YouTube, anything wrong with Discord, videos will come up. Let me give you a Facebook page. Parenting in a tech world. Parenting in the tech world. It's manned by 250,000 subscribers. Parenting in the tech world. You have a question about anything, you type it in there, experts will come and give you the answer. Parenting in the tech world.